Steelhead. On with the show, this is it.
Got it. Mm, mm. It was a little frothy. I don't know why. This batch that I got a batch, everybody. I got a batch of the. I ordered it on Amazon. Saves you money. It's a little frothy when I open it, but Wildberry, my favorite. My favorite. We got a great show today. I'm very happy about this one. Very psyched, very pumped. These cats have helped us out in the past, and they're great people. They're great guys. They got great stuff. But before we get on to the nitty gritty, speaking of great stuff, we have the great Angela Curry. What's going on, Angela?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
You like that intro? I gave you a great intro.
Oh my gosh, you're being so nice. Who is this
What do
person?
you mean? I'm always nice.
It's like we just had Halloween. I feel like we just had Attack of the Body Snatchers or something. I'm beginning to wonder. All in all, good to see you, though.
How dare you insult me like that? No, we got a great show. I'm always nice to everybody, especially Ink Spots. But
Always.
I'm very happy about this one. You mentioned the time change, so I'm sure these guys are, very tired after that hour. It's an hour. I don't know. I don't have a regular schedule, so to me, I'm like,
It's just darker sooner. Like it's right now getting dark.
Yeah, as it should be. And so speaking, we got a great show. We got a wonderful show. We're gonna have the guests come on right now. We got two. We got dos cajas. That means 2 boxes, but they're not boxes. They're actual humans. I think it means box. Anyway, we got Andy Smith and we got
Andy
Dennis Turner.
Dennis.
Word.
Very cool.
Woo. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm all good with the time change. I mean, we gained an hour of sleep, so that works for me.
That's the part. That's the trade-off. Yeah.
I always get confused because I'm like, when the spring and the fall, I'm like, which one do I lose and which one do I gain?
Okay, so it's easy. Ready? Fall back, spring forward. See, easy.
Yeah, but you fall back. That would mean if I'm falling backwards, I'm
hour.
losing time. I'm falling.
No, you gain an hour because if you go to bed, let's say at midnight, right?
Right.
Well, let's just say you go to bed when you're supposed to change the clocks at 2 a.m. Well, if you go to bed at 2 a.m., you're actually going to bed at 1 a.m. You gain an hour.
But can you not also fall forward and spring back?
Well, I've seen you walk.
This is true. You can't spring back. Yeah. You see my confusion.
Yeah, because when you spring forward at 2 o'clock, when you change the clocks, if you're up at 2 a.m., you're going, now it's 3 a.m. Damn it, lost an hour.
If I jump forward, I'm gaining distance. So I'm gaining and
I just think you're overthinking it.
I overthink a few things now and then, and that's probably one of them. No, thank you guys for coming on. Like I said before, you guys have helped out Frog, the Frog campaign, promoting it and stuff like that. Very, very grateful. And I met, I don't know if you were there, Dennis, but I met Andy at Heroes Con. I said thank you there, which was cool, very nice. Heroes Con was a lot of fun, by the way.
Yeah, Heroes Con's always good. I mean, Dennis was there, just maybe not the table when.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, I was a little further away from everybody, so I kind of had to walk far enough away from my table, and Mother was there monitoring it. But I don't like to be away too long from my table because I might lose a sale. Even though Mother is great. I don't know if any of you all know anything about, but I have bad eyes, so Mother helps drive me around, do stuff. And she actually sold a Frog book, while she was waiting in line to get a signature from Daniel Warren Johnson. So. Yeah, so she's a great person, but so she'll monitor the booth while I go around and talk to people. But I was like, Sunday's kind of dead. I'll go around and try to say thank you to everybody. So but it was great. So before we get to this, chat's not hopping and popping right now, maybe because of football, but we got a couple people, Angela, who's in the chat.
Oh, we have this guy, Paulus Arts. Hi, Paulus.
Paulus Arts.
He was here first. We've got Ink Spots in his house. Cheers, and we got Yasoy Zach here. Cheers, man. For a sec, I was like, I had to do several double takes on that one. But anyway,
you threw me off when you said it. I'm like, what? Yeah, that's funny. I never see welcome.
Why are you insulting him? Hey, where's Cran? Cheers, Cran.
What's up, Cranberry?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, nice. So, something I always ask whenever guests come on and stuff, and I'm always intrigued by this because of the industry that every one of us, like you guys, are in. I mean, I'm doing just independent stuff, and you guys obviously have done more than I ever have. But what do you remember? What your first comics were? Like, what was your first comic that you bought, that you picked up as a kid or later on?
Captain America Captain America 275. Going home from school one day, stopped into the old 7-Eleven, and back then, the 7-Eleven, when you walked right in, the big double doors, right in front of the counter, they had the magazines, and then off to the right-hand side, had a little area for comics, and covered a Cap 275 just jumped out at me. So I picked it up, looked at it, was sold for 60 cents, 75 cents. I can't remember. I think it was 60 cents.
I think it was 60. It was about 60 cents.
I think it was 60 cents.
Yeah.
So that was it, man. And I was hooked ever since. I still love that entire run too by J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck and John Beatty. Just great stuff.
Zeck, so good. Forget about it. Like, a phenom. Like, definitely. Just look. It's funny, and we'll have you answer in a second. But I wanted to say, I don't know if you ever saw the pencils for Secret Wars. They're so good. Like, they're insane. It's crazy. Like, the inker did not do it justice. But anyway, Dennis, what was do you remember your first comic?
I do. I still have it.
Nice.
E-Man #1. Ooh. And it was the funny thing is it was like the original E-Man, but I wasn't collecting back then, but it was an old dime store. And you know how a lot of the times they would rip off the covers and send them back like magazines. Well, this one didn't. So they just had old ones floating around. And I remember walking down and I was like, oh, that's cool. And I picked it up and I'm like, hey, Mom, I want this. And she goes, that's a comic book. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware of that. That's kind of why I want it. She goes, you don't read comic books? I says, that's because I don't have any comic books. So she bought it for me. And that is what turned me. I thought it was so cool. And the superheroes that were in it. And I was a science nerd and it just fell in. And that's actually what got me into my X-Men kick. And that's how I became an X-Man. And I got to meet Joe for the first time last year. And he would set up a kitty corner from it. So I went home and got my original copy, went up and met him, and had him sign the original E-Man that I picked up that day.
That's cool. And sadly, I don't have the original. Like, the first comic I ever got was Thor 411, and I don't know. I read it so much it got eviscerated, but I had rebought it in the 90s. And at Heroes Con, Ron Friends got it. I got Ron Friends' signature on my first comic I ever bought. So that was like such a cool factor for me. I'm like, I finally have it. You know, I don't know. It's like a grail type of a thing. And it's just, it's so cool meeting everybody and stuff like that. And like for getting your first comic ever signed by the guy that drew it. And like, that's the other thing. Like, when I got my first comic stuff, I was gravitated to the art. Like, the stories are cool. I love them. Don't get me wrong. But what made you guys go into the field that you eventually got into? Like, what attracted you to the art and you to the writing more so than the other things around? Was it just something that you were naturally excelled at, or how did that go?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was, you know, when that Captain America came out, it was 1982 or 83, something like that. Mm-hmm. So I was already 12, 13. And, you know, at that point, I've been, you know, I was always drawing, you know, picked it up in elementary school, just really enjoyed it. And I always say that, you know, it's something that you're passionate about and you want to keep doing, because even back then, you know, I use my daughter as an example, which is when she was 2 years old, she liked to draw, color, you know, that type of stuff. And obviously a lot of kids do, but the difference between them and myself, or artists, I think, is when they grow older, 3 or 4, and can do other things, learn to do other things. If they put the pencil down and the crayons down to start doing other stuff, that's not something they actually want to do and just like doing. Whereas I was like, I just love to draw and I love to create. So I just kept at it. And you know, I watched cartoons as a kid and loved those. And I'm talking about the superhero stuff, Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, reruns of Space Ghost, Super Friends. And then when I discovered comics, and like you, it was the artwork, and that specific issue by Mike Zeck just blew me away. And then, you know, I just right then I was like, I want to do this for a living. You know, I want to draw, you know, superhero comics for a living. So that was it.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. And you're not like, especially today, it's like, I draw these things. I have a crap ton of comics in my collection. You know, I have all these things, and I have nephews that live with me and stuff. They could care less. They don't care. Like they just like it's all they're inundated with it. Like they love the comic movies. They love all the stuff, but they see I'm like I can give you any book. It's phenomenal. I can just pull out an issue and just give it to you, and like you'll be blown away. They're just not interested in it, and I don't. It's hard to like you said. As a kid, when they were little kids, they would draw things, or they would, you know, like write in their little notebooks or do whatever. Then after a while, there's like, oh, you know, TikTok or, you know, video games, which I love video games too. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for it. But it's just something about it that doesn't click with some people. And I don't know. Maybe it is the over inundation of it. Maybe they see they're around it so much. They're just like whatever with it. So Dennis, what about you? What attracted you to the writing side of things?
Oh, real quick. Sorry.
No.
Ink Spots. I know we're not talking about the book yet, but he backed it and he got the foil cover.
Thank you.
Oh, nice, Ink.
So cheers, Ink. Thank you, man.
Ink.
All right,
Nice.
sorry, go on. Carry on.
So on the writing, well, you know, growing up, my favorite books, hands down, it's what my passion was X-Men. That's why I went and collected all the X-Men, the X titles, every X book out there. Chris Claremont, through all of that, there were some good ones. You know, Davis, Excalibur was good. New Mutants was good.
Oh, yeah.
All of it was good. But the Chris Claremont writing for X-Men teamed up with the great art and stuff, but it was just hands down my favorite run of any of the comics. But that's what got me into comics. And you know, I wound up collecting a lot of Marvel stuff. Way more than DC, although I liked Green Lantern. You know, that was kind of my DC side, and some Shazam and things like that. But now X-Men really was where it is. Chris Claremont writing, it was just, you couldn't get enough. I mean, I was down there every week for my new books. And then I would always spend my extra leftover money on back issues because I wanted to go back and collect them. I went to school for radio, TV, film, and I wound up, once I got out, I wound up going in a different direction. But I've been a D&D player literally since D&D came out. Back
Do you still play?
Yeah, still play.
Okay.
And,
I stopped playing around 25, 23, somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now we do D&D, we do Shadow Dark.
Andy, you join them? Do you join them in the events?
No, I never, you know, I knew what D&D was as a kid growing up, of course, because I had friends that were into it. And I had a few of the books and stuff because, once again, I like the art, you know.
Right.
And then obviously I come to find out later on it was by a guy named Bill Willingham, who, you know, went on and did the Elementals and you know, great stuff in comics. But it's just one of those things. When I had free time growing up as a kid, I just wanted to draw. I didn't really do anything else.
You want to hang out with the nerds playing D&D. You wanted to be in your own thing. No, so when you were playing D&D, were you the DM? Were you a player? Is that kind of like
my early days? No, you know, I was a player, but then I started DMing, and then we started moving around, and you know, it evolved into we all moved. So even when I was still up in the Wisconsin area, we would get together once a month we'd all meet at one of our houses and make the trek. But in between that once a month, that one weekend, I would write prose story, and then everybody would chime in and then what their character would say. And then I would create it. So I wrote prose, so short stories. It was literally, I mean, I was doing this 40 hours a week on top of my regular job and stuff like that. So there's always been a lot of storytelling, but I wasn't doing this professionally. I was doing this for fun. I had kind of turned things into, say, kind of pseudo novellas, things like that. And Andy and I were on our way to a convention, and he was looking to do something different, and he asked if I would be interested in writing a comic book and collaborating. And that's kind of what got me into doing that. So I had to learn a different format because I wrote TV script, movie script, stuff like that back in the day. But comic books is a different animal, so it was a big learning curve, but it's fun.
Yeah, when I'm sure this has happened to each of us. You're looking through an old comic from like the 70s, and if you're looking at the letters column, you'll see a name in the letters column, and you'll go, oh my God, that's so-and-so that was working in the business in the 80s or whatever, right? So when they were a fan, they would write into the letters columns and stuff. And it's funny, like Dennis said, I asked them about collaborating and stuff. So I'm going through some back issues of this magazine from the early 90s, and I see letters signed by Dennis Turner, Penthouse letters. I was amazed. I'm like, I knew I recognized his name and his writing style.
You read it for the articles. You look at it for the articles. That's right. What everyone does. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, really. I didn't even know there was anything else in it but articles.
Yeah, Penthouse letters. Dennis Turner. I assume it's the same DT.
It's got to be the same. I don't know how common is that name. I mean,
not only that, but right below it said, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. So I'm like, I know Fond du Lac or North Fond, whatever made up town that is he's from is so tiny. It's got to be him.
That sounds like a made up. Fond du Lac sounds like a made up town.
It does.
It does. It doesn't sound real.
Wow.
But no, the thing is though, like with you got Kordrath and Lilith, that does lend its ear a little bit to the D&D stuff. So it does. Now, how did you two even meet? How did you guys learn? How did you guys butt heads? Was it football? Are you guys opposing football team guys? And then you're like, ooh.
Well, we are opposing football team guys, but it was when Dennis was on Tinder and he swiped left. And
always swipe.
Always. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, look, I just had my 30th wedding anniversary. Dennis has been married for like 32, 33 years.
Hey, you
get that, we've known each other for 10 years or so. So you get that 25-year itch.
Yeah, you just got to know.
Itch,
Every now and then you got to swing, baby. You got to swing.
Yeah. No, I met him at the local comic shop over here.
Oh, okay.
How long ago was that?
What was that about? It was over a decade, right?
Yeah, about a decade or so. I was helping out a local shop on Wednesdays and stuff like stuff like that. And Andy was always like one of the first ones there in the morning.
Aww.
He was there when I unlocked the door and stuff, and we would hang out and chat. And that's why I'm good friends with so many of the guys that are still from the comic shops and stuff. And we all still hang out. But yeah, we got talking, and then we started realizing, we both like to go out for a good beer and stuff like that. And we both like football, although opposite teams. And then we actually started out doing, podcasts, and we started figuring, well, why not do a show on comics and some football stuff? And we went down that road, and we just kept building and building until the opportunity came.
Thelma and Louise, right again.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and like that's what I tell a lot of people. Like it's like whenever we do like I go live and I just have people on and stuff. I'm like, I love comics. I love talking comics and pop culture and stuff. But there are plenty of other stuff out there. But I'm so inundated by it that it's hard for me. Like, because I'm not really big into sports. I know about it. Like, I'm from Cleveland. I'm living in Cleveland. Everyone knows the Browns are the worst team that could ever exist almost in the NFL, but the most diehard fans.
Yeah.
But as far as players go, I couldn't name you one, but like I'm more into like movies and music and stuff like that. But everybody, and what I think is great also, but even though I'm not into like something like football, I could probably sit there and be like, look, the Browns are they're still great. They're still good. And we could all then, even if you hate the team, it's something you're like relating to, that you're collaborating about, but you're not arguing about. It's more or less a fun little rumble in a way. So like you guys have opposing NFL teams, you can be friends still. It's an amazing thing, really. Like you can like the same thing, but not like the same thing and still get along. And I think people need to learn something. There's something to that people tend to forget, And,
sure.
So like Dennis, I was a big Marvel guy growing up, like, and although I was the younger brother out of everybody, so I got the crappier comics. Like, well, crappier, I want to put them in quotes because they really weren't crappy. But like my other brothers got like Spider-Man and X-Men and all Batman and all the. I got like Thor and New Warriors. Like just kind of the lower tier type stuff.
Yeah.
But as I'm mentioning this because I now am currently trying to get as many of the X-Men, the original X-Men run as I can. I'm doing pretty good so far. So I was like, oh, you like the X-Men? I've been slowly building my X-Men collection. The oldest one I have is issue 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm grinding away at it slowly here and there, and it's cool. I love that though. I love getting those old books and just it's like a time capsule, like just holding it and be like the stuff that happened during like 1965 and all the things that went on, and now you're holding a piece of it that was in probably a gas station on a spinner rack. Which we need to bring back. So
yeah, if you could, that's actually really interesting that you brought that up. Like saying, like, wow, this book went through so many hands. It would be interesting to see. And I never really thought about it before because, when you buy your house, you can always go on like Zillow and track back and see, how many times it was sold, not necessarily the people, but at least how many times and then even like a car. Right. Like if you're into classic cars, a selling point, obviously, for like muscle cars and before is one owner or two owner. It would be very interesting if you could find out, like Dennis does have all the X-Men. He has an X-Men #1.
Nice.
And it would be very interesting to find out how many, and he'll tell you his X-Men #1. When he bought it, it was a slab 9.0. He can fill you in on the whole story.
That's
so
impressive.
9.0. So you kind of got to think, same with like a classic car that's just in mint condition that doesn't have any repair work, Bondo. Who originally had it, or how many owners had that X-Men before Dennis got it?
Not only how many owners, but who did they let borrow to read them? Just
exactly.
Like Andy just loaned me a comic book and read it, and then. I did buy, Andy's right, I bought a 9.0 slabbed one, and then I cracked it because the very next weekend down at MegaCon, I got a private signing with Stan Lee so that he would sign it.
Oh.
And then there's a whole story with that because, it was I had 5 books signed by Stan in the private signing, and the other 4, it was a thick gray Sharpie, and you could tell it's Stan, but it's just a signature. But when that X-Men #1 came out, they said, Stan, Dennis just collected after all these years. He now owns every X-Men book. He just bought this last weekend, cracked it. So, and he goes, Excelsior, get me a new Sharpie. So they went and got him a brand new Sharpie. And when you look at the signature, he took his time. It's a nice, legible, thin Stan Lee black signature, which is totally different from the other 4 I got that day. It was great.
That's so cool.
And then he got regraded. It came back, and it came back in 8.5. But I think of how many graders also touched the book.
Yeah.
Stan touched the book. I mean, exactly. You kind of just want to know who all touched it. I wish you could.
Okay, and like this is something I didn't get to bring up when Aaron was on, because I am interested in hearing his opinion, because he is also a collector of such things like slab books and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Where do you guys stand on slabbed books? Like, it is a contentious topic. I have several, but where do you guys stand?
Yeah, I mean, you say several, so I'm going to guess you and I probably have the same amount. I know Dennis has a lot more than I do. I've bought a few that are slab just for like nostalgia's sake. They're not really even probably worth getting slab, but somebody did, and it wasn't that expensive, so I bought it. But then I have key issues that I've had in my collection, and I was like, I should get these slabbed, and it was all when Marvel started taking off with the movies,
right?
First appearance of the Vision, stuff like that. So I have no problem with slab books. My big thing is, as long as I have a reprint, and not even necessarily a trade paper, the reprint and a trade paperback. I would rather, I mean, that qualifies, but I would rather either have, you know, if it's a popular book, a facsimile edition, or I would rather just go get a crap condition. If it's an expensive book, I'd rather just go buy a crap condition of the same book just to have for reading.
Yeah.
So I like slab stuff. I look at them when I do buy them, most of them, because like I said, I do buy a couple that are just like, but most of them I look at for the investment part because this will probably go up, you know.
Hold on, I heard a boop.
I heard a boop too. I only see 4.
There's 2 Dennises now.
Oh, he's sharing his screen.
Oh, he's sharing his screen.
Oh, there we go. Look at those 2 Dennises.
Oh, that's well, there was. That is so cool.
Dennis is multiplying.
Yeah, and you can see right in the middle. It's legible and it's a thin marker. And he really took his time, and he was like very happy, and it was so cool. And just to have a story like that with Stan saying that and Excelsior, get me a new marker. That's just cool.
And it is really dope. That's super cool. I mean, it's cool that he did that for that book for you, like, and that shows you like he was a pretty cool dude. You know, he had his like we hold on, I gotta get no, that's dope. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. And back in the early 90s, my brother had gotten a Make-A-Wish, and it was to meet Stan Lee and stuff like that. And we went to San Diego Comic-Con in 92.
Did you? I never knew this.
I told this story before. Told this story. She never listens.
And I don't listen.
Andy, is this what you go through with Dennis?
No, it's the other way. Andy has the worst memory in
Jason,
history.
it totally is.
I knew it.
These women in our lives don't listen.
No, but so we went down to we went to San Diego Comic-Con in 92, which happened to be the time of Jack Kirby's birthday, where he was cutting the cake, and Alan Moore Davis. Yeah, I even met Jack on the floor, and I shook his hand. I asked because I was like, "Hey, can you sign my comic?" He's like, "I can't, because if I sign yours, I gotta sign everybody else's." And I think he also didn't want to, because when he went to cut the cake, his hand was shaking like crazy, and his wife had to come over and help him. So I think really that's another reason why. But that was true. But I did get a signature from Stan on it was it was one of the Thor annuals, I think, or I can't remember what it was because it's gone now. I'm an idiot throughout the years, and somebody sold it. But no, it was in ballpoint pen though. So I'm like, it's cool looking, but I'm like, so you got like that nice Sharpie on there and stuff. So that's pretty dope. The funniest story about all that was we went to go meet Stan Lee. And he was they were supposed to set aside like 20-30 minutes for us, and like, 'cause it was a Make-A-Wish. It was like, you know, you get so my brother's supposed to like talk to Stan and all this stuff. And I don't think he fully knew. I don't think they told him what was going on, because like it was just like a photo op. He signed a few things, and that was it. It was like maybe 5 minutes. But the lady of the event of the Comic-Con, she walked up to my brother and was like, "Do you want to meet Rob Liefeld?" And he was like, "Yeah." So she took him. This was when Image, they were all lined up and signing everything. Yeah. He stopped signing books, talked to my brother, went over my brother's artwork, you know, like wrote on his thing, like, "Keep up the great work, dude." Rob Liefeld was so nice to my brother that I like, to this day, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I will still like him for that, no matter what.
That's cool.
I'll go through. Yeah. So that was a super cool time period.
You know, Stan really did like it. And I know some people like him, some people don't. But I remember being at a convention, and he had all these people at his booth just lined up. Mm. And then, you know, the guys that work it, you know, the handlers, they came out and they were like, "All right, we're cutting it between you and you right here. This is it. Nobody beyond Stan. This is where the line ends. And sorry, nobody else." Stan actually stood up and he goes, "Whoa, wait a minute. All of these people have been standing in line to see me. I'm okay if you don't let anybody else get in line, but anybody who's in line, I'm going to talk to." And they're like, "Stan, we don't have time for that." And he goes, "Yeah, we do. They're in line. I'm going to talk to them." And he made sure he talked, shook their hand, regardless if they wanted something signed or not.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he was super cool from what I remember. He was really nice. I just don't think the event planners told him everything that was happening. Yeah. So, and that happens quite frequently, actually, unfortunately. But still, and you know what I've come to find? going to these cons and like even as a fan and also now as a vendor and stuff like that, everyone's super cool. Like I have yet, like I had my couple interactions where it was just like, you know, it was just them signing the book and that was it. That was fine. But most people stand there, most artists, doesn't matter how big or little they are, they'll stand there and talk to you about virtually anything. Like they're there to have a good time and fun as well. So most people are generally pretty nice. And it's really awesome. Everybody's there for the same reason. Comedy. You know, so yeah. So, how did you broke into the industry? How did that go about? Because you made it through the lines. How did you end up getting into the mainstream?
Oh, well, I went to after high school, I took a year off, and then I went to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Art. So, and that's you know, back then there weren't as many schools or programs in schools that specified more for just comic book art and stuff. And that was, well, I mean, that was pretty much it. Yeah. So I went there. It's really an intensive 3-year program. In my 3rd year attending, I met Bart Sears, who was a teacher for that 3rd. So the Joe Kubert School has a few teachers that are there like on staff, but most of their teachers are working artists, and, you know, they'll come in for maybe a year, maybe 2, and then, you know, go, okay, you know, it's taking kind of a chunk of time. So I'm just going to get back to my freelancing, you know. And so Bart came in for 1 year. He literally taught 1 year. He was teaching 2nd year students, and I was a senior, but it's, you know, Joe Kubert School, small school. And, you know, there's no rules like, oh, you can't go talk to anybody, whatever. You know, it's small school, you know, you can go up to anybody. So I just went in and introduced myself to him at the beginning of the school year because I was a big fan of his work.
I was gonna say, did you geek out at all a little bit, or?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he was working on Justice League Europe at the time.
Nice.
And I loved that book. I really liked his artwork. So introduced myself, showed him my portfolio, and he kind of took me under his wing and mentored me on the side and stuff, and really helped me with my work. And then in March of that year, my senior year, he was like, hey, you know, I could go up to DC and drop off some pages. Do you want to go up? I said,
that's cool.
You know, bring your stuff, whatever. So I was like, yeah. So, you know, I went up, he introduced me to a few editors, and I, you know, showed my portfolio and got some, you know, critiques and stuff. Cool. And they were all like, I met like 3 editors, and they were all basically like, you know, we like what you're doing. You know, if you want to work up some more samples, come back in a few weeks, you know, that'd be great. So I was like, okay. So I did. I worked up some new samples and went back up a couple weeks later, because Bart would go up once a week. Right. You know, New York City, where they were located, was only about 45 minutes from the school. So it wasn't like it was that far. So I went back up a couple weeks later and, you know, showed the stuff, and a couple of editors I talked to previously just flat out said, you know, if I had anything extra, I'd give it to you, but I just don't. And Mike Carlin at the time was sharing an office with editor named Dan Raspler. And Mike was a guy that said, I don't have anything, but hey, Dan, can you look at this guy's stuff? So Dan checked it out, and I guess he liked what he saw, and he offered me a job. So
nice. Now,
first gig then.
See, and that's the other thing. Would you say to anyone watching now on the replay or whatever, if somebody wants to work for the big 2, would you say it's a lot harder now to get into anything than it was back then, or the process is a little more grueling back then?
Like, no, actually, I think it is harder now. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, because it's easier to show your work and get your work seen because of the internet. You know, you can post up, you know, stuff on DeviantArt and different websites, and create your own website really cheap as well. And, you know, really getting a hold of like email addresses for editors isn't that difficult. And there's so many more conventions than there were back then, but there's so many more people, I think, wanting to get into the business that makes it harder, you know?
Well, couple that with the fact that there's fewer comic books being produced, there's a lot fewer titles being produced, and both Marvel and DC, the big two, they have a large talent pool overseas because they're looking for cheap, writers, cheap artists, and so it is going to be a lot harder if you're in the States here to land a job with them. Plus, they don't pay like they used to, because back in the heyday, an average Spider-Man, in the 80s was selling 1 million copies, and now you got 50,000 copies and you're jumping for joy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, that's what I tell a lot of people now, especially like, now is a good time to make your own thing. It really is, because it's a lot easier to go on to Mixam. Even if you're not trying to like make it your living or anything, you just want to, hey, I want to make a fun little book and sell it to my school. You can still like make 12-page zine and print it up on Mixam and then go out there and do it. It's a lot easier now to do an independently run thing than it was way back when. And it's like, so if you have an idea and you really want to do it, just do it. Now, if you want it to make your living, that's where it gets to be a little trickier and a lot more difficult, because we're competing now with so much technology, and let alone with AI coming out, we're competing with that too. So it's just a constant hurdle over hurdle. And Bancroft's in the chat. He's had this conversation plenty of times. And to me, it's always a topic of conversation with AI and everything. But people are always going to want a man-made thing. Like whether we... I haven't posted the video yet, but I have a video where I'm drawing, and I it's called Oh Man Draws and Talks, but sometimes I'll pose a question. And I've been wondering, do people like, not AI, but do people care how things are made? Like do people care if Dennis is like typing on a computer or writing the script out on a notepad? Like, do people care if you're drawing on a tablet or if you're using a dip pen and ink? If the end product looks really cool, do they care about the steps that it took to get there? Now, I don't think so. I don't think so either. Now, but in going in that route, will then they care if it's AI?
Yes, I think they will, because I think eventually it'll just migrate. Unfortunately, it'll probably migrate that way. But I really don't see that happening for a long time. I mean, I'm willing to say even 10, 15 years from now, you're not going to have Marvel and DC going, oh yeah, this book, the credit is AI, or there is no credit because they just hired somebody on staff to, learn AI and, basically produce the stuff. It probably will happen, unfortunately, but I still think there will be enough people that like creating, because it's an inherent thing. Yeah. It's what we do, that people will still create it by hand. It's kind of like saying, artisans that do woodwork, and stuff like that. Are there machines that can do that stuff? Yeah, probably. But it's still, I still think the handcraft of it will be there. Yeah.
I think there's going to be a percentage, and we found out. So Mark A. Nelson, he's a friend, love seeing him at shows and stuff, but he's a concept artist, and he did old D&D stuff. He does Magic the Gathering cards, things like that. Well, we were at a show this last year, and he let us know. He goes, hey, Hasbro just came in and fired the entire art staff. And he goes, from now on, the Magic the Gathering, the D&D products, it's going to be AI generated. We're getting rid of it. So they literally got rid of the entire division. And a lot of his friends were in those divisions because that's what he used to do and actually still did once in a while. So now the question is, we now know that D&D and Magic the Gathering is going to be AI. Is there a percentage of the population that are going to go, whoa, that pisses me off, I'm not going to do it? How many people are going to know and how many people are going to care?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is the creatives, like, will care because we actually do the thing. Like, we're like, and don't get me wrong, like, it's just like Photoshop or something like that. New advancements do have benefits to them, to the people that it might take over the job for. Like, I could take a photo of buildings and put it into Photoshop and manipulate it, do some, effects in Photoshop, and it'll look a little different, but it's cheating. Like, I didn't draw anything. I just did it. Now, back in the day, they did do stuff like that where they would draw like Spider-Man swinging through the city, and they would just photostat the city behind him. And it wasn't often that they would do it, but they were going for an artistic effect. So they would run it through a Xerox machine like 5 times to try to get this weird gradient going. And yeah, it's cheating, but it still looked cool. Now, is it something that's frowned upon a little bit? I guess, but I'm not going to sit there though and use a full-on AI thing and print it. I might do that's how that pose is. Okay, and then I draw it. So there are tools for the trade for the creator. Now, but we're creators, so we do care about this. So if like John Doe is sitting there buying, the next issue of Spider-Man and it's all AI, is he going to care? I don't know. Like, it's something that is just, like you said, maybe 10, 15 years down the line, we'll find out. But I would like to think most people who do collect because they like seeing that, Joe Kubert name in the thing. They like the unique styles of things. Like, Andy, you got a unique style of the way you draw.
As long as there's
you and I are totally different, and so it's a fingerprint.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to say it. I think as long as there's creators that fans follow and stuff, it'll the traditional drawing, and whether that's on a computer, because I mean, there's a lot of artists working now that do all their stuff digitally, which I don't have a problem with. I mean, look, that's how they came up. They came up in this digital age. 15 years ago, when I taught at University of North Carolina, Charlotte, I'd say out of, it was a small class, like 15 students, but I don't know, probably 10 of them were doing stuff digitally, on iPads and stuff. Okay. As long as, and they would have to print it out. When I would want to see the final product, I'd be like, well, good. Now, print it out. I'm not going to look at it on your tablet.
Right.
But they're still drawing it. They're just drawing it on, using a program, whether it's Photoshop, Clip Studio, Sketchbook Pro. I mean, I'll draw things digitally sometimes as well, just because it's quicker. Sometimes it's not. It just depends. But it's still, I'm drawing it, Right. It's like anything, I've got 25 long boxes back there of comics. At some point, Dennis and I were having this conversation when we were driving to a con about, at some point just downsizing, at some point.
I've been talking about it too.
Yeah. 10 years from now, I'll be 65, right? If my wife and I are like, okay, let's sell the house and downsize to something smaller, retirement community, whatever it might be, I'm not taking 25 long boxes with me. As much as I might want to, there's no way. Yeah. But the nice thing about digital stuff is every freaking one of those books can be found online.
Yeah.
So, I'm not looking forward to the day where it's like, where's your comic collection? And I hold up my iPad and I point up and go, it's in the cloud, because I like physical media so much.
And not only that, we're all getting older and degradation follows. Like my eyes are garbage as it is. So, if with digital, you could zoom in and read everything perfectly well. And speaking of which, Dennis, like I'd more impressed, like if Dennis like, I write everything on a notepad by candlelight, like that's crazy impressive. But nowadays people are just typing in a chat GPT, give me a prompt for this. And then it writes them, and then they just fix some stuff. So do you utilize any kind of software for yourself when you're like I use thesaurus.com, I mean, I kind of cheat a little bit. I don't know those big words.
That's not cheating though.
I know, I'm just joking, but still so do you utilize, cause I use Photoshop and stuff like that as well. So do you utilize any kind of tools that are newer of the trade for you, or are you just strictly old school? Dennis?
No, I'm old school. Actually, half of my stuff, a little different right now working with Andy, but everything I did was still in a notebook, to start with, all my original notes. Now for doing stuff like this, when I create them, I do an Excel spreadsheet I have Word docs where, like, when I create a character, I do 100 questions for every character, so you know their entire backstory,
That's so
who they
cool.
know, family stuff. It's all in Word docs, and then on a spreadsheet I keep track of character interactions, things you need to know and stuff, and that's how I kept track, because that's how I did it for creating D&D stuff. You know, if I'm creating this villain that's going to wind up being a recurring villain, I need to know canon with what I've done. So I'm old school with that and still do it the same way.
Did you ever have a typewriter? Just curious.
Okay, I learned on a typewriter in junior high school. When I graduated high school, it wasn't a typewriter. It was the first word processor that had the 8 little digital character screen. That's what I got for a graduation present. So and I had an Apple IIc right when they came out.
Nice. So like I growing up, we had, growing up in my house, it was me and my brother and my parents, and we had a typewriter.
Yep.
And then we, at some point, I can't remember when, maybe mid 80s, my dad brought home an electric typewriter, which, you would open up the case, and I don't even think you took it out of the case. You just opened it up, set it down.
Yeah, you popped it open.
Plugged it in, boom, electric typewriter. And when I was in high school, kind of like Dennis, it was an elective, and I took a class on how to type.
I love that class.
Which, little tangent, it drives me nuts. I don't know about now. My daughter graduated high school 5 years ago. But, when she was, I think, in middle school, they all were given Chromebooks to use for the year. From middle school to when she graduated high school, not one class on how to type.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
use your thumbs now.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? You're literally like, I didn't have computers in middle school and high school, but I took a class on typing.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving kids Chromebooks, and they're not even having at least just a 1 week class. We're just going to drill typing into you for a week. They don't teach cursive. So these kids get out.
Yeah.
And when she got her ID and license and stuff, they're like, sign your name. My daughter's literally goes, I don't. How do you sign your name? Because you're not supposed to just print it.
You're not supposed to print
just squiggle something, and then from here on out,
that's your signature.
Said, sign your name. Take out your ID card and copy that squiggle you did, and eventually it'll just become rote. But I kind of think when I got into comics in '91, most people I knew were still using typewriters, so I loved getting the scripts, and I still have a bunch of them from back then from the writers. That they, not their original, because they were sent to Marvel and DC, then they would photocopy it, fax it, whatever. But I kind of hope like records are making a comeback. I would love it if this younger generation saw a typewriter and was like, that just looks fun, and just started doing stuff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angela, you're saying LPs?
Yeah, well, like vinyl, like that's a lot of people seem to. Yeah, it's a craze now.
Yeah, I took a typing class. It was an entire semester back in when I was in, like I said, school. And then when I had kids and they were little, there was no typewriter anymore, but I got them keyboarding, and that was the new thing, was keyboarding. And I bought them Broderbund software and stuff for kids that taught them how to use that. And then I even homeschooled them and stuff for a number of years. But like today, now they don't teach the kids. There's no Denalian handwriting. They don't know how to write cursive. They can't read it. Half the kids today, they're like, what is that?
Oh, you give them the Constitution, a copy, they can't read it.
No.
It's because it's all, and I have a hard time reading it because it's old school cursive, but still, I can still read it,
Yeah, so, I think like my handwriting was always bad. So even in school, when they would, when I was in high school, we had to write stuff in cursive, and I would always be told, you got to tighten it up, slow down. It's hard to read, blah, 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 So I had no problem when I got out of school, and it was like, I don't have to do cursive anymore. Fantastic. But if it's legible, like my wife's, I can still read it.
Oh, yeah. Maromi is right. So when I was in school, we had computer labs, because back then, you know, it was a big thing.
Yep.
We had Apple II Pluses, and they came out with the IIes. And then my parents got us for Christmas, that was the big present, was the Apple IIc, where it was portable and it actually had the little lever. They bought one of the Amber monitors and stuff, and you learned how to code ProDOS and Apple DOS back in the day. And you know, it was just cool to get the, you know, the flash, your verbiage to flash on the screen and go-tos, and those were the good old days.
Yeah, in my school, I was brought up with like the computers in the class, but we had typing classes, and like my nephew, 25, and all them, they have to look at they're quick whenever they're doing it this way.
Oh yeah,
but they're fascinated as to how I would just have like. Plenty of times I'm in the chat and you can tell my hands are off the home keys, but they're fascinated that I can type without even looking at the keyboard. Like they're like, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm like, there's little dots on those things. That's where you rest your hands, and then you just go. Like I said, plenty of times in chat, I mess up like crazy. People make fun of me. Jason's blind. But you can tell when my hands are off the home keys. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like, this is the slowest method ever, and you have to look at what you're doing all the time. I'm like, that's
yeah. So, but you know, it's even like in school. Besides typing, you know, we had bookkeeping and records. They taught you how to reconcile your checkbook. You know, things that.
Yep.
Kids today, it is
economics
totally foreign. They don't even know what a checkbook is, much less have to worry about balancing anything or understanding their own financial situation.
Right.
We had to know the Dewey Decimal System.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Dude. Come on. That's pure chaos. Like, that didn't make any sense. But you know what does make sense?
There it is.
Beautiful.
Thank
Was
you.
some of that trailer done in AI by chance?
I don't know. I assume you're referring to like the movement and stuff.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know. I didn't do the trailer. Good Stuff did on
Good Stuff.
Yeah, we like Good Stuff here. We've been on with Good Stuff. They're
good. So he did the trailer, did a fantastic job. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe not like when the trailer was made. I don't know. I don't think Grok Imagine was a thing yet.
I don't think it was when no.
But there might have been something out there that
Good Stuff is they're really good about their videos and how they do things. So I'm pretty sure. I don't think he would use AI. I mean, he might to help out. I don't know. I can't speak for him. But I mean, and this is another topic of the AI thing. Like I said, Michael Rushbrook, one of my favorite new artists that we've been hanging out with lately. You know, too good for us. But he like did one of his drawings, just like a doodle that he had done in AI and moved, and like that's pretty cool. Yeah, but but once again, that's another topic of things. But no, the Good Stuffs do great videos. They really
Henry Bing misbacked it during Andy and Dennis when they're on with Rini. So cheers. Thank you so much, Henry.
Henry's dope. We like Henry. So, guys, give us the pitch of Lilith.
The pitch for Lilith. Lilith Infernal Conflict is a standalone story featuring Lilith, of course, the sexy succubus from the Kordrath world, or Kordrath saga, I should say. But have no fear. Don't think to yourself, oh, I never read Kordrath. I can't back this. No. This is a standalone story. You don't have to have read any of the previous two Kordrath books to read this book. Of course, if you want to, there is a catch-up tier. this story is a prequel, so it is a great jumping on point for readers. Lilith home is in the abyss, and there's a war going on between the Succubi, which are her and her femme fatales, and the Incubi. And the demon lord Vixarian wants to basically rule over everybody, and they go to war. Lilith and her queen's army, and then two of Lilith's what's the word I'm looking for, Dennis? I like to say friends, but that doesn't sound as cool.
Doesn't sound as cool.
You mean her sisters in combat?
Her sisters in combat. Dennis writes the words, and I draw the pictures. Her sisters in combat have to take down this threat, and that's the focus of this story, is learning how basically Lilith came to be the right arm, you could say, of her queen.
Nice.
And in this world.
Before we continue, what are your guys' opinion on the new IGG format?
Yeah, good question.
Oh, good Lord. From a customer standpoint,
yes,
it's fine. I think it's great. They got a lot of pointers from Kickstarter, with the way the home screen looks and stuff. It's like I said, from a customer standpoint, I have backed something already with the new format. Easy peasy, piece of cake. Now, their previous format I also thought was, but this time you can actually manage your reward after you back. So for people that already back it and go, you know what, I thought about it, I want to get this other cover. You can just go in and add it. You don't have to cancel like you did before.
Yeah.
And all that. From a creator standpoint,
yes,
the back end of this thing that consumers don't see, holy crap.
It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare.
It is.
Like anything, I'm sure when we've all been driving for a long time, I assume. And I'm sure when we first started, you were kind of like, oh my God, a stick shift. I got to worry about gears and clutch and this and that. Yeah. Now it's a piece of cake. So after a few campaigns, I'm sure it'll be like, oh yeah, I can do this blindfolded.
Right.
But out of the gate, oh my God.
I took one look at it whenever I just can't. I gotta come back to this later. The backstage. Yeah.
Remember how easy it used to be when you're like, you know what? I'm going to take this tier down. I'm going to hide it. You would just go to it. You'd click on the three dots, and one of the three options was hide. And you would just click hide, and boom, it's gone. Nobody else can see it anymore until you want to show it again. Oh no, it's a lot harder than that to hide a tier now.
With these changes, any aspirations of creating your own site or anything? Is that kind of?
Oh no. So there's a few ways. Creating a site is what Shane and Yanzi did, literally from scratch, creating a site. I believe Mandy used Shopify to create her site.
Billy Basco helped Inkspots. Well, he made Inkspots and ours website, Unhinged Inks. So through Shopify.
Right.
You have a website?
Yeah.
So I don't listen to you.
So that's definitely a way to go that way. I know on Wix, so I use Wix for my websites. Yeah. And there is, thank you very much, Michael. And there is a plugin for, I think it is labeled now crowdfunding, so I haven't experimented with it yet. But it's something I might look into. I'll still, like I said, once you get to know this stuff, I don't think it's going to be that hard, but out of the gate, especially mid-campaign
is pretty bad.
Mid-campaign, you almost, and I'm not a web developer,
right,
by any means. So I'm assuming it would have been hard for them to do, because I think they could have done it. And the point I'm getting to is they probably could have done something where if you had a campaign that was already going, it didn't change.
Yes.
And I'm not saying the front, I'm saying the back end didn't change.
Yeah.
So the front's always consistent.
Yeah.
I would have bet they could have done that. And then basically update would go out to all the creators saying, your current campaign, the back end is going to stay the same. However, when you do a new campaign, you will have to use the new format.
Grandfather us in.
Yeah, grandfather you in.
Grandfather you in, yeah.
That would have been nice.
It would have been nice, right? Yeah, I was just curious, you know, because this change just happened, and we hang out with quite a few people, and it's nice to know everybody's feedback. And let's know a little bit more. So, Dennis, how many pages is Lilith?
Lilith is 44. Well, it'll be 48 pages.
48 page book.
Yep. And so it's it was a fun story to write because this one doesn't take place on the lands of the Shattered Reach like the Kordrath one. She is a demon, and demons live in the abyss. So it's the 666 layers of the abyss. The incubi and succubi each have their own layer up there, as do most of the demons. But they're in a constant war with hell, which the 9 layers of hell. And they traverse the river Styx, and they have an infinite battle. So hell versus abyss on the infinite field of infernal conquest. And that's the backdrop for this book. So it's quite a bit different than the first 2 Kordrath books that took place in the Shattered Reach.
Did you draw any inspiration from Dante's Divine Comedy?
I mean, it's kind of hard not to, because everything does. Yeah. I mean, even your basics of like Dungeons and Dragons and, you know, their versions of the Outer Planes and stuff like that. Everybody's version will draw inspiration somewhat from it because it's kind of the OG.
It is. It's a great book. Everybody should read it. No, that's now how this is a standalone title, but how is Kordrath going to continue on, and more Lilith will come with it? Like, what are your plans in the future?
Oh yeah, no, that'll continue on. As a matter of fact, the very beginning of this and the very end tie in directly to the awakening that just ended. You'll actually see the panel where she walks out at the end of it, where she walks into here, and then you will also, where this one ends, it will pick up in Kordrath, the next book.
Nice. And now with Kordrath and Lilith and all that stuff, Andy, are you going to be going back to First Man? Do you have other IPs that you're going to develop? Like, how is that going to work? While like the next Kordrath is in the works for being written.
No, I mean, there's no. That sounds nice, but you know, it's not. That's not really how, at least for us, how it works. I mean, when Lilith is wrapped up, we'll play it out so the next Kordrath would be ready to go.
Okay,
you know,
nice.
First Man, I love, of course, because I love superhero stuff. So that's why, like, for this campaign, I did this short little First Man story that's brand new, just to do something,
right,
you know, with them that wasn't a huge time consumer as in a full-blown campaign.
Yeah.
So no, after this it would be the next volume of Kordrath.
Okay, so. Nice. Yeah, like Ink Spots. I kept telling Ink, I'm like, yeah, I love Froggy, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of tired of drawing just like anthropomorphic creatures and stuff. I want to draw a guy. Like, you know, and so we've been working on like a flip book type of a thing.
Sure.
I draw 12, he draws 12. So it's a nice little break and breather from like the core essence of the thing that you are doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like I do it a lot where like I'll, you know, do a cool down drawing or something like that. So in that time frame, I could actually just draw like a panel or two of a different IP that, you know, and just it kind of breaks you away. It's like writing something different, Dennis. Like, you know, like you want to write a different prose or something, like, you know. Yep. So yeah, it's I think it's helpful. It's nice to flex those individual muscles of the artistic world.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's go over everyone's favorite part, which I got to navigate this now. The tiers. So I think this is the first tier.
There you go.
Okay, so like I said, new format. Jason's blind and can't navigate crap. So tell us about you got quite a bit of tiers actually, which is really cool. So tell us about this one here. You're gonna have to help me out, Andy or Dennis, as far as these go.
Yeah, Lilith's big box, her big beautiful box, if you will.
Nice phrase.
We stuff her big beautiful box with as much as we can. The one thing you don't see in the thumbnail, because once it's picked, you can't change the thumbnail.
Right.
We added the foil cover, so the foil cover is also included in Lil Nas box. So you get the main cover, the homage cover I did, John Malin's cover, the black and white edition of the book, the foil cover, the First Man comic, and 2 exclusives, which are the black and white version of John Malin's cover and your Cersei, a bookmark. She's a new character in the book. You get the 2-inch Lil Nas minifigure. It all comes in a nice collector's box, which of course is wrapped very nicely to protect it, shipped inside of, a brown box, because
well, of course,
that is a collector's box. It's not, we're not shipping it in that.
Right.
So that is the tier that gets you everything at a nice discount, because right now, it says 170 is the original price. If you add it all up, we're selling it for 140. But if you added the foil cover to it, the price would actually be 195.
Right.
You're getting it for 140.
Wow. So that's an impressive deal.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like, you're getting a lot of content there for your money. So it's it's definitely good to have that as the featured tier there for sure.
Yep. And then we've got the calendar, which is limited to 40. And it's core draft calendar for 2026. We're shipping that out, as it says, in December, so everybody gets them in time for January. We already shipped out a first batch of them, so people have already received them. And then after that, it basically breaks down, like most campaigns, the individual covers.
Yeah.
And of course, all of that stuff are add-ons. So like Burger King, we like to have it your way. Hey, scroll back up real quick. That one, we've got the limited edition retro newsprint edition. There's only 100 of those available. Once again, one of the problems with the new format is it doesn't say how many of the 100 are gone.
It doesn't. Yeah.
We had 11 left when last we were.
No, we had 9.
9 left. You're right. 9 left when last we were able to look at it.
So I need to. This is one of the things with the new format of Indiegogo. I need to basically every other day or so go into the backside that we can see just to see how many are gone. The old one,
that's wild.
As soon as it hit 100, boom, it would be gone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case, so I need to check that. But get that. I mean, if for some reason we're printing 150, so if for some reason it's at 105 right now or something, we're covered. But
I would hope they would have it set so it gets taken down.
Like an automatic shut off or something.
Yeah, because that would screw over any like, even if you're doing electronics and there's a limited like number of those, now they got to make more. Like, that'll cost so much money. So I would hope that they would know to take it down.
I would hope.
Yeah.
So, but that's a cool one.
That's a cool one. And a newsprint is all the rage these days.
It's newsprint.
So
a cover just for that variation, flat color. The trade dress is totally retro. It's going to be cool. Signed and numbered. These are the only ones that we're signing.
I was going to ask that. Yeah,
comes with a certificate of authenticity. So
nice. So then, you could even then get it slabbed. Everybody.
That's right.
That's right. Get. You know what you do? You buy this. You get this slabbed, and then you go buy another cover. And then there you go. And then you go buy 2 covers because that one you're going to want to get the foil, get this, and then get another cover. Get 3. You know what? Just get the featured tier. Just cover your base.
That's right.
Get everything.
Speaking of which, so this isn't. It's by itself though. This doesn't.
Yeah, this is not in her glorious box.
Yes. So you got to get her box.
Glorious box.
Yes, and then get that one. That's what. That's the route you go.
The retro cover is kind of it's retro. We want to have an old feel, so that does not come inside Lil Nas box.
You don't want old things in the box.
No.
That actually isn't a bad idea to get that and then go ahead and get the news.
I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of myself because as we're doing this, Dennis is texting me what to say about Lil Nas big beautiful box, and I'm reading it at the same time as saying it. So
that's impressive.
The writer. I mean, he is
the writer. So everything you're saying right now is all on him.
It's really coming out of Dennis's mouth.
Yeah,
that pretty much is the rub on it.
The rub on Lil Nas big box.
Rub the big box.
Okay.
And you got some t-shirts going on here. Always cool, pretty dope.
Yeah. So we got t-shirts, and then we've got bundles that you can do that save you money. A catch-up tier that'll save you money. A gaming tier. So if
like I said, you guys got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because I had put out 2 Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition compatible modules that you can play that were separate story. We've got the minifigures, the playable character cards with all of Andy's artwork on it, and we weren't. There was no way to put one out in time for this. But I had so many people already reach out and say, how do we get the gaming stuff? So we put up very late to the game of the gaming tier so you could get it all.
So you could even get you guys.
That's right. For $6,500, you will get
pretty cheap. You guys come cheap.
You will get, well, because we're traveling.
Oh, okay.
You will get hand delivery of everything. You will get the calendar. You will get the signed retro edition and everything else, stretch goals, everything else. We will deliver it to your door, take you out to a nice dinner. And you will have a thrilling evening with Dennis and Andy. And there you go.
Now, does the backer get to pick where they go for dinner?
Sure.
Oh, no.
Wow. If they want to let us keep more money in our pocket and they really want McDonald's Happy Meal, we'll go.
Jason, they want to go to Ruth Chris.
Here's the perk about that, though. If you go to McDonald's and get the Happy Meal, you get all the perks from the campaign. You get to hang out with Dennis and Andy, and you get the toy in the Happy Meal box.
That's right.
Which you get more content.
Is a BTS figure.
Yeah, you get more content. Like I'm telling you, that's
because we're paying for it.
You're paying for it.
We'll get you 3 Happy Meal boxes or 4.
Dude.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. I do love that you guys will hand deliver.
All we need is that 1 or 2 people. That would be nice.
Is plane fare included in this, or are we doing a road trip? Like, what's the?
Well, it depends on where they live. I mean, if we're on the East Coast, if they're in California, we're flying.
All right.
Yeah. If it's Marcus, who is about 20 minutes from here, we'll just drive on over and knock on his door.
Amanda B bringing the good questions. Is this include international?
Nope.
Well, it depends.
We when the original campaign up, it was U.S. only. Although we did say there are a number of really good people that are right across the border up in Canada. We could make an exception.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And let's be honest. Now that I'm thinking about it, Puerto Rico's pretty close. It's just like Canada.
Hey, it's America.
Yeah.
We could do Puerto Rico. Cayman Islands. Look, I went there on my honeymoon. Love the Cayman Islands. I'd make an exception to go to the Cayman Islands. That's a short plane ride.
But there's the thing. Andy doesn't have a passport, and he's not allowed within 500 feet of a school. So other than that, we've got a few restrictions.
I do live pretty close to an elementary school, so I don't know if I could pick this tier up. So I was thinking about it, but now I can't.
No, you can. I'll just throw, I'll shave.
Well, I live in Ohio, so I'm driving distance. So there you go.
I'll shave my goatee, throw a wig on. Nobody will recognize
no
me.
one will know. No one. No, this is a fun tier. I do like it. It's
a really fun idea.
But you got a lot of great banger tiers here. You got a great banger box going on. People can pick that up, and it's a wonderful campaign. It's a great IP. I love Conan and fantasy, so it's definitely dope. And Andy's art is definitely really good. So you don't want to miss out on this for sure. So check it out. And if you can't afford this, by the way, I know times are tough for everybody. Please share the campaign out. You don't even have to share the stream out. Share the campaign out on your social media platforms. Help get eyes on this, because that's really how a lot of us get growth. We grow to go in the big box.
Sharing.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. We're coming up on the hour mark.
Yeah. They went backers in Gaza, ink spots saying.
Yeah, I mean, well, so Dennis told me if we did get a backer in Gaza for the 6,500, because that's an expensive flight. I sacrificed and said, Dennis, I will fly you first class so you can hand deliver it. You can put me on FaceTime and just hold it up next to you and go, here's Andy. Yeah, and that'll work. He's fine to go there.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get there. I don't know about back, but we'll make sure you get there. No, this was a fun one, a good one. We're past the hour mark, so thank you guys for sticking around. Angela, do we have any last questions?
Marcus said he backed. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Marcus said he backed cover A and also backed the newsprint edition with the First Man add-on. So very cool.
Marcus is great people, great artist. I met him at HeroesCon too. So.
Yeah, just for that, Marcus, I will personally have Dennis hand deliver your perks to you.
There you go. You can't argue with that. The better
I
half
don't
of it
mind doing
too.
that. You just let me know what convention we'll see you at.
Yeah, and Amanda says that you'd have to meet in somewhere mutually approved, not by the school, Jason.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, we can meet at my local grocery store. It's like right up the street.
That's always good. Or you could be at the comic book shop. Come on.
Yeah, my LCS.
That's right. Always got to check out the local
LCS.
comic shop.
That's right.
Yeah,
Check out
support
your
it.
LCSs, everybody.
Mhm.
Angela, do you have any last questions for our guest?
I don't have any questions, but I do love this project. I
you.
have
Oh, yeah.
backed Cordrath, and I will back this one eventually.
Well, I have Cordrath. I had the line art edition. I had the color edition. I got Cordrath out the butt.
Sweet.
And in the box.
Yeah.
But I'll be picking this one up because I actually have a little bit of finances, so we're gonna do it. I have one last question though for you guys. Dennis, Andy, pick the order. I don't care. If you get any superpower, what would it be?
Dennis, you go first.
Any superpower, I would maybe say hyperintelligence, just because I like the Tony Stark thing, where you could come up with anything. I want to go to Mars. I want to explore the universe. And you got to have that intellect to make things happen. Sure. A souped up Elon Musk,
I was just thinking Elon Musk.
Yeah. Reed Richards on acid.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Now, guys, you have to realize hyperintelligence to Dennis is anything above a short bus.
Dude.
But it doesn't take a lot for him to get there.
Wow.
And Andy's
couple IQ points. Couple IQ points. If he could just break 100 on the IQ, he'd be there.
He's almost there.
My first script, I had to keep the words 3 letters or smaller, which is really tough to do for Andy. So now I just draw pictures.
His first script, I would have him call me and I'd say, okay, dictate what's in panel 1. Slow down. I got to draw this. Repeat. For me, originally it was, I always would say flight, but I've gotten really lazy in my old age. So I'm going with teleportation because that's really instant.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's mine.
In California, even if I could fly super, super fast, it still takes time. If I can teleport, it's just blink of an eye. So
would you be able to teleport things too? So you could take all of your inventory with you to the shows? Like you could teleport.
Well, I would. I don't want to get crazy here.
Okay.
So I'll just say I have to be able to hold it when I teleport.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be able to take everything.
Another good reason to get the box.
That's right. Everything fits in it.
Everything fits in the box. Nice.
Right. So I'll go with teleportation. Yeah.
That's why I could just create the teleporter. So there we go. I win again.
Oh my gosh.
No.
You guys are
I want to teleport.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah. You want to create something where you actually have to have a physical thing to step in to do it, which means you need
2 ports.
That power to everybody, Dennis. That's stupid.
Yeah, you teleport to outer space because you only have teleportation. You don't have holding your breath or breathing in outer space. So
I'm not trying to teleport to outer space, Dennis. I'm looking to go.
But you could teleport to Dennis's base in outer space, and therefore you don't even have to worry about it. You could just piggyback off of his creation.
Yeah, I would give you the coordinates and then move the base 50 feet to the left.
Just think, if I could teleport, I would do it right now, and I'd show up right behind Dennis.
Yeah. Yep, get him in a stranglehold, sleeper hold. And there you go.
That's right.
HeSpot says healing factor, teleportation.
There you go.
Yeah, healing factor was always mine.
Marcus says he bumped into you at the grocery store, Dennis.
Yeah, he knocked me down. I was sprawled all over the floor and stuff like that.
Did he take all your oranges?
Yeah, no, it was my Honeycrisp apples.
Ooh. Never take a man's Honeycrisp apples.
I will tell this Cosmic Crisp apple out of this world. No doubt.
Honeycrisp. Honeycrisp.
Help yourself.
No, Honeycrisp is the best. All right. Well, that was a great show. I'm right. Angela's wrong. Thank you everybody for watching. Like and subscribe. All the other fun things. Thank you guys for doing this. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I mean, I want to play your trailer again. But we're going to hit this button right here.